Hey all, Matt Spring here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make basic card design with Google Spreadsheets and InDesign. So the first thing we're going to do is I've already created my Google Sheet. I've named it card template. Second thing I'm going to do is go view freeze one row, which will give us this line here. Just lets me know that this is the first line and that this is the title of all the types of things we're going to be putting on our card. I want these to be resource cards. So the first thing I'm going to do is write resource. So anything I put under this column will show up as a resource. And I want an image to show every time I mention that there's a resource on my card. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the @ symbol and write image. So anytime you want to get images in to InDesign with data merge, which is what we're using today, you have to put an @ symbol before the word you're using as your title. So you see here resource. Anytime I put any word in here, so let's go wheat, sheep, stone, InDesign can tell what those words are and they'll just show those words. But for an image, I need to type in exactly what my image in the file is going to say. So for this, it's going to be wheat PNG, sheep.png, or let's change those to JPEGs because it'll just be easier. And then stone, that's not how you spell stone, stone JPEG. So I'm going to be able to see what resource it is, and I'm going to be able to see an image once we set that up. So last thing I want is I want my value. And for this, we're going to do 1, 1, 1. Now I want an entire, I want these to have values of 2 and 3 as well. So I'm going to apparently not copy and paste, but I'm just going to type these out. So wheat, I want more sheep. Sheep. Stone, another wheat, another sheep, and another stone. And then, like before, I'm going to type in wheat.jpg, sheep.jpg, stone.jpg, wheat, sheep, stone. And I want this value to be 2, 2, and 2, and 3, 3, and 3. Awesome. So now is where we transition over to InDesign. So the first thing we want to do is make sure that we download this sheet. And to do that, you're going to go to File, Download As, and you want to save it as a CSV. And you want to save it in a specific folder. So I named my folder Card Template, and all of the images that we're going to be receiving, so wheat.jpg, sheep.jpg, and stone.jpg, all have to be in the same location as the CSV file. That's really important. So I'm going to save this as card template. So now we have the CSV as it popped up down here. Now we're going to go to Google Images, and I want to find a JPEG of wheat. It's really important that go back here. It's really important that this is going to match what I'm saving this image as. So it's a JPEG, and I'm going to write wheat dot, that's not how you spell wheat.jpg. So if I let that go, we wouldn't get the image that we want. But this says wheat.jpg, all lowercase, save it, just like this. And now I'm going to do that for sheep and stone. Sheep, JPEG. This is a good sheep. Look, he looks so friendly. Okay. So sheep. I don't need to add the .jpg. It should add it automatically. Last time it just had it in the place already in the name, so I didn't bother. And then I want a stone JPEG. This is a good stone right here. And stone. Yeah, see? Saved as sheep.jpg. Awesome. Awesome. So now we have all 3 of these images in that folder. So next thing we do is we go to InDesign. So for InDesign, you're going to want to create a new document. You want to make sure you're looking in inches. You want to make sure facing pages are off. You want to have your card be a 2.5 inches width and 3.5 height, because those are standard card dimensions. We want to make sure we have 6 columns. We want there to be 0.125 inches as a column gutter. We want all of the margins to be the same. And then we hit create. And this is what our card template looks like. So we put in the columns just so we can put things in the right locations and everything can look nice. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to use the text tool in InDesign to have it say resources or resource. So under this, it's always going to tell you, once I set it up, it's always going to tell you what resource it is. So after I have that set, I'm going to create another text field because we're going to put something in there in just a second. So right now I have data merge open. If you don't have data merge, which is the primary tool we're going to be using for this, you go to Window, Utilities, and click on Data Merge. It might pop up in a little box around here. If it does, just take that tab from it and drag it here. So right now you see I can take this off and it'll just be by itself. That might appear in a little box and just put it up here. We're going to be using it a lot, so it's much more convenient here. So next thing you do after you have data merge, you want to make sure you click in this button right here, the 3 lines, and hit select data source. So now what we're going to do is our data source is the CSV of the Google Sheet that we just downloaded. So I'm going to double click on that. See how this changed? Now we have all the things that we typed in the Google spreadsheet are recognized here. Everything under resource should be marked. Everything under image we should see. And everything under value we should be able to see. So right now you notice I still have a text field. I want whatever resource it is that we have to show up about here. So I'm going to drag resources into this text field. You see it says resources. So now, if I did it correctly, this should be replaced by whatever the first name is in the spreadsheet, or first resource. So for now, it's going to be wheat. So let's go into InDesign and let's preview it. It says wheat. Let's go to the next page to make sure. Yep, sheep and stone. And then it'll start repeating, just like what we wanted. Awesome. So I'm going to turn preview off because I don't want to see that anymore. Actually, I'm going to go back to page 1 just so it's easy. Turn preview off again. Awesome. That's exactly what we wanted. Now, we're going to want the value to be there too. So I'm going to extend this text box a little. I'm going to go back into text edit mode. Hit enter. And I'm going to drag value here too. And I'm going to preview it just to make sure it looks right. Doesn't look quite right to me. Now you can stay in preview mode. Sometimes this is helpful. Sometimes it might not be so much. But I want to make sure this is at the center of the page, around where wheat is. But I want it to be more noticeable. And resources, I think, is a little too big too. I think we want what the resource is to be the center part. But this will tell us just in case. And I'll overlay these two. Actually, no, I'll just make this box smaller. But yeah. And if I turn preview off, it changed what they look like. But when we turn it on again, there it is. Sometimes you might not see the other selection that you have. So with value, right now you can't see that. But if I extend this, it's there. You just can't see it, that's all. But we know by turning on the preview, it's still there. So nothing to worry about. The last thing we want is we want this image. We want to be able to see a sheep or see stone or see wheat if it's on our card, right? I mean, we got such a nice sheep, so why would we waste this? So I'm gonna delete that. I'm going to use the rectangle frame tool, which is F, and I'm going to create where the sheep will be. So the sheep, or where the image will be. And I want it to be right around here. I think the center of a card is probably a solid choice. So now I'm going to drag the image that we have, or the images that are in the collection of the CSV, in here. Notice how it says image? We should see the image if I did it correctly, if I hit preview. Look, awesome. So we have wheat, we have a good sheep, and we have stone. And that's what we wanted. So that's the basic of how you design cards in InDesign. The next thing I want to show you is how to make a 3x3 collection of those cards. So what I'm going to do is, because you don't want to print out one card at a time, it'll print on the entire page, because that's how InDesign works. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make just a little bit of an outline, just so we know where our card is and what it's going to look like. I'm going to use, for the Mac, Apple A or Control A if you're on a PC. And I'm going to copy this entire thing. And then I would like to make a new document. Now I want this to be the size of a standard page, because that's what we want them to print out as. So the width of a standard page is 8.5, height is 11, not 111, that would be a very big page. We don't need any columns, so no columns. We don't need any column gutter, because we don't have any columns, or there's one column. And then no margins. And let's create it. Awesome. So now that's here. So I'm going to paste this and drag it up to the top left-hand corner. Something you will want to note is that right now, if I go to data merge, can't preview. Why is that? Well, you see, this is still asking us to select a data source. Over here, it has the data source. So we have to, in this document, we have to select the same data source. Now they're here. And now it recognizes that these three are active in here because we've used them in here and copied and pasted them. So next thing I want to do is preview just to make sure it's working. Yeah. But see, now there's just one on every page. We don't want that. We want to make sure we have multiples on this single page. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to this little box under the 3 lines, and it'll say Create Merge Document. You click on that. And right now it's a single record. We want it to be multiple records. These are just going to help you see if something goes wrong. So we're going to keep those on because those are really helpful. If an image is missing, say we put wheat.jpg in the spreadsheet, in the spreadsheet, but it was capital W in one of the spaces, it will not have worked because it can't recognize that image because it's not the exact same as we saved it in our file. So I'm going to hit OK. Actually, no, let's preview it to make sure it'll look right. Awesome. This is exactly what we want it to look like. We want 3 level 1 sheep, or no, we want 1 of each level 1 resource, 2 of each level 2 resource, or 1 of each level 2 resource, and 1 of each level 3 resource. So I'm going to I hit OK. Hit OK again. This just tells us nothing bad happened, so we're going to click on that. Awesome. Now this is going to be an entirely new document. So see over here, this is a different document, the one we have the CSV in. But it doesn't matter because this created a merge document with all of the things replaced to what we have. So I can file and print this if I wanted to, but right now I'm just going to save it. So I'm going to save this as, yeah, we'll save it as an InDesign document. I'll say card template PDF to export, because we're going to export this to a PDF. And I made sure it was in the card template section. So we're going to go to File again. We're going to hit Export. We want it to go to card template. And we want it to be in an Adobe PDF. And I'm going to change the title to card template PDF and save it. I'm not really worried about any of these settings. Whatever it should be fine. So I'm just going to export it. Then I'm going to go to Finder. In Windows, it'll just be in that specific folder. And check if the PDF is exactly what I want it to be. Awesome. That's exactly what we want. Notably, resource is a little bit small. The resource name also seems a little bit small. So in the next version, we might want to make that bigger. But for right now, just for showing off, I think it's totally fine. And I would want to make sure I saved these two. Thanks, InDesign. But yeah, that's the basics of how you make a card with Google Spreadsheets and InDesign. If you have any questions about it, I would definitely look up Daniel Solis's YouTube page. So this is where I learned to do it. He shows you how to do data merge, what cards might look like, what it's like to prototype card games, planning their design, and even more advanced steps of like designing a collectible card game template, something like Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon, something like that. So definitely take a look if you're more interested and about the in-depth of this. But for now, that's all. So thank you for watching, and maybe I'll see you around.